This audiobook is for educational and self-development purposes only. Take a deep breath. Slow your thoughts. Let go of the noise around you. You are not here by accident. Most people go through life reacting, obeying emotions they never chose, influenced by forces they never understood. They believe their thoughts are their own, their reactions are natural, and their decisions are free. But the truth is far more complex. The human mind is powerful and vulnerable at the same time. Dark psychology is not about evil. It is about awareness. It is about understanding how influence works, how emotions are triggered, how behavior is shaped, and how control is quietly exercised without force. You are not listening to this audiobook to control others. You are listening to protect yourself. Because the most dangerous prison is the one you don't know you are in. From childhood, you were taught what to think, how to behave, what to fear, and what to desire. Approval was rewarded, disobedience was punished. Over time, you learned that acceptance equals safety. That lesson never left you. It simply changed forms. At work, approval becomes validation. In relationships, it becomes emotional dependency. On social media, it becomes attention addiction. And wherever approval controls behavior, manipulation becomes easy. Most people believe manipulation looks aggressive or obvious. They imagine villains, threats, pressure, or domination. But real manipulation is subtle. It feels normal. It sounds caring. It often comes from people you trust. That is why it works. The mind does not resist what it recognizes as familiar. Manipulation does not begin with control. It begins with emotion, fear of loss, fear of rejection, fear of being misunderstood, fear of being alone. These fears operate quietly in the background of everyday decisions, and when emotions are triggered, logic shuts down. A calm mind questions. An emotional mind reacts. Reaction is predictable. Predictability is control. Think about how many times you reacted without thinking. How many times you explained yourself when no explanation was required. How many times you felt guilty for saying no, even when you were right. None of that happened randomly. Human behavior follows patterns. And once you see those patterns, you cannot unsee them. The goal of this audiobook is not to make you suspicious of everyone. It is to make you aware of yourself. Because the first place manipulation succeeds is inside your own mind. If someone can control how you feel, they can influence what you do. This is why emotional discipline is the foundation of mental strength. Strong people are not loud. They are not aggressive. They are not constantly reacting. They observe. They pause. They choose their responses carefully. Silence is not weakness. Silence is control. When you speak less, you reveal less. When you reveal less, others cannot easily read you. When they cannot read you, they lose leverage. This is why confident people make others uncomfortable without saying much. They are unpredictable, and unpredictability disrupts manipulation. Most people believe they need to defend themselves with words. They explain, justify, argue, and over-communicate. But every word reveals emotion, intention, and insecurity. A manipulator listens more than they speak. So should you. When someone pressures you for an answer, pause. When someone rushes you, slow down. When someone tries to provoke emotion, remain calm. Calmness is a shield. Emotional reactions feed control. Stillness starves it. One of the most powerful tools in dark psychology is urgency. The illusion that something must be decided now. Urgency bypasses rational thinking. It forces instinctive responses. Any decision that cannot wait is usually designed to benefit someone else. Powerful people take time. Weak people are rushed. Another silent weapon is guilt, making you feel responsible for emotions that are not yours, making you feel selfish for setting boundaries, making you feel wrong for choosing yourself. Guilt is a leash, and the moment you release guilt, you regain freedom. You are not responsible for how others feel about your boundaries. Self-respect does not require permission. Manipulation thrives where self-worth is low. When people doubt themselves, they seek external validation. When validation becomes necessary, control becomes easy. This is why confidence is dangerous. Not loud confidence, not arrogant confidence, quiet confidence. The confidence that does not need approval. The confidence that walks away without explanation. The confidence that remains calm under pressure. That kind of confidence cannot be controlled. Gaslighting is another powerful tactic. It makes you doubt your perception. It makes you question your memory. It slowly erodes trust in your own judgment. As awareness grows, something subtle begins to happen inside you. You stop taking things personally. You stop assuming every emotion you feel belongs to you. You begin to recognize that many emotions are reactions planted by external influence. This is one of the most uncomfortable realizations for the human mind, because it challenges identity. Most people identify with their emotions. They say, I am angry, I am hurt, I am anxious. But emotions are not who you are. They are responses, signals, temporary states. Once you separate yourself from emotion, control weakens. This is why emotional discipline feels threatening to people who rely on emotional manipulation. They need reaction. They need engagement. They need emotional fuel. When they don't get it, they feel powerless. You may notice that when you remain calm, others become unsettled. When you do not explain yourself, others push harder. When you don't react, people reveal more than they intend. This is not accidental. Human beings are uncomfortable with silence because silence removes feedback. Without feedback, they don't know where they stand. Without knowing where they stand, they lose control. Silence creates psychological pressure. This pressure causes people to fill the gap with words, justifications, emotions, or confessions. The less you speak, the more information you receive. This is why listening is dominance. Most people talk to be understood. Powerful people listen to understand. When someone speaks emotionally, do not interrupt. Do not correct them. Let them continue. The longer they talk, the more they expose motives, insecurities, and intentions. Words are windows. Another critical concept most people misunderstand is this. Control does not require authority. It requires influence. Influence comes from perception. If someone believes you approve of them, they seek validation. If someone believes you might reject them, they feel tension. If someone believes you don't need them, they feel imbalance. Need creates weakness. Independence creates leverage. This is why emotional independence is the foundation of mental strength. When you don't need outcomes, outcomes lose power over you. Many people unknowingly sabotage themselves by over-investing emotionally too early. They give too much attention, too much explanation, too much energy. This creates imbalance. Balance is power. The one who cares less controls the frame. This is not cruelty. It is reality. Healthy relationships are balanced. Manipulative relationships are not. When you sense imbalance, slow down. Reduce emotional output. Observe reactions. Balance often restores itself or reveals truth. Another silent tactic used in influence is repetition. Repeated ideas become familiar. Familiar ideas feel true. This is why propaganda works. This is why advertising works. This is why repeated narratives shape belief. The mind confuses familiarity with truth. To protect yourself, question repetition. Ask yourself why you are hearing the same message again and again. Ask who benefits if you believe it. Awareness interrupts conditioning. Fear is the most powerful accelerator of control. Fear shortens thinking. Fear narrows perception. Fear pushes the mind into survival mode. In survival mode, people obey. This is why fear-based messaging is everywhere. Fear of missing out, fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of being left behind. A calm mind sees options. A fearful mind sees only threats. If someone wants to influence you quickly, they will introduce fear or urgency. Pause when fear appears. Pause when pressure appears. Pausing is resistance. One of the most advanced forms of manipulation is making you believe the decision was yours. When influence feels internal, resistance disappears. This is why subtle influence is more effective than force. To counter this, slow decision-making. Give yourself time. Distance creates clarity. Clarity weakens influence. Another pattern worth recognizing is emotional mirroring. Some people reflect your emotions back to you to build false connection. It feels like understanding. It feels like chemistry, but it may be strategy. Real connection builds over time. Instant intensity is a warning sign. Depth requires patience. Manipulation often accelerates intimacy to create dependency. Trust your pacing. You do not owe access to your inner world. Privacy is strength. In modern society, oversharing is encouraged. People reveal thoughts, emotions, struggles publicly. While vulnerability has value, uncontrolled exposure weakens boundaries. Boundaries protect energy. A person without boundaries is easy to influence. Every time you say yes when you mean no, you weaken a boundary. Over time, weakened boundaries feel normal. Rebuilding boundaries may feel uncomfortable. People may resist. That resistance confirms necessity. You are allowed to change. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to withdraw. Approval is optional. Respect is earned through consistency, not compliance. Another important realization is this: manipulation is often disguised as concern. I'm just trying to help. I only want what's best for you. You're making a mistake. Concern becomes control when choice is removed. Advice respects autonomy. Control removes it. Listen to advice. Decide independently. Your life is yours. Emotional blackmail uses consequences. If you don't do this, then this creates fear of loss. Loss aversion is stronger than desire for gain. To counter this, accept the possibility of loss. Acceptance removes leverage. When you are willing to lose, you cannot be controlled. This applies to jobs, relationships, status, and approval. Freedom has a cost. That cost is comfort. Most people choose comfort. Few choose freedom. This is why most people remain influenceable. As awareness deepens, you may feel distance from old patterns. You may notice conversations that once drained you. You may sense manipulation where you didn't before. This is growth. Growth feels lonely at first because fewer people can access you emotionally. That is not loss. That is alignment. The mind becomes strongest when it no longer reacts automatically. When it pauses, observes, and chooses response consciously. Choice is power. The ultimate goal is not dominance over others. It is sovereignty over yourself. A sovereign mind cannot be invaded. As you continue listening, let these ideas settle slowly. Do not rush to apply them aggressively. Awareness works best when calm. Observe without confrontation. Notice without judgment. The more relaxed you are, the clearer patterns become. Manipulation thrives in chaos. Awareness thrives in stillness. Stillness is your advantage. And as stillness grows, control fades. As the mind becomes quieter, perception sharpens. You begin to notice how often people attempt to shape outcomes through emotion rather than truth. This is not always malicious. Often it is unconscious. People learn what works and they repeat it. Influence that succeeds once becomes habit. One of the most overlooked forms of control is identity manipulation. When someone attaches a behavior to who you are, they influence you without direct commands. Statements like, "You're not the kind of person who gives up," or "You're too smart to question this," sound supportive, but they limit choice. Identity-based pressure is powerful because people protect their self-image. When behavior is tied to identity, saying no feels like betraying yourself. This is why labels can become cages. The stronger the label, the tighter the cage. Awareness loosens it. You are not your labels. You are not your past behavior. You are not obligated to remain consistent for others' comfort. Growth requires change, and change disrupts expectations. Another subtle mechanism of influence is reward withdrawal. Approval is given when behavior aligns and removed when it doesn't. Over time, this conditions obedience. It mirrors early childhood conditioning, where love felt conditional. Adults are not immune to this. At work, praise becomes currency. In relationships, affection becomes leverage. In social groups, inclusion becomes control. The moment you notice approval being used strategically, step back emotionally. Emotional distance restores balance. Healthy approval is consistent. Manipulative approval is selective. Consistency signals safety. Inconsistency signals control. Pay attention to how people respond when you assert boundaries. Respect reveals itself under resistance. Someone who respects you adjusts. Someone who manipulates pressures. Pressure exposes intent. Another concept many people misunderstand is confrontation. They believe confronting manipulation is necessary to stop it. Often it is not. Confrontation feeds attention. It creates drama. It gives manipulators engagement. Indifference is more effective. When manipulation no longer produces reaction, it loses value. This does not mean tolerating disrespect. It means choosing the most effective response. Sometimes that response is silence. Sometimes it is distance. Sometimes it is calm refusal without explanation. Explanations invite negotiation. Boundaries do not require debate. The more you explain, the more openings you create. A simple, "I'm not comfortable with that," is complete. You do not owe emotional labor. Another powerful tool used in influence is comparison. Making you measure yourself against others creates insecurity. Insecurity seeks validation. Validation creates dependence. Comparison is poison. Your path is singular. Your pace is personal. Anyone who constantly compares you is distracting you from self-trust. Self-trust is dangerous to manipulation. When you trust yourself, external validation loses importance. When validation loses importance, influence weakens. This is why confidence must be internal. External confidence can be shaken. Internal confidence cannot. Internal confidence comes from alignment, when actions match values. Manipulation often works by pulling you out of alignment, making you act against your instincts, making you ignore discomfort, making you override intuition. Your body reacts before your mind understands. Tightness, unease, hesitation, these are signals. Do not ignore them. Intuition is pattern recognition, not superstition. Your mind notices inconsistencies before it can articulate them. When something feels off, pause. Pausing protects clarity. Another advanced tactic is reframing reality. presenting harmful behavior as normal, making dysfunction appear acceptable. Over time, standards erode. This is how environments become toxic slowly. Normalization is powerful. What you tolerate repeatedly becomes baseline. Choose carefully what you normalize. Your environment shapes your mind. Protecting your environment protects your psychology. One of the most liberating realizations is this: you do not need to win every interaction. You do not need to be right. You do not need to correct people. Letting go of ego frees attention. Ego reacts. Awareness observes. When ego steps back, manipulation loses its grip. Manipulators often provoke ego deliberately. Insults, challenges, subtle disrespect, all designed to trigger reaction. Reaction gives them control. Calmness disarms provocation. When you do not react to disrespect, you remove its power. Respect yourself quietly. Silence, once again, becomes strength. Another overlooked dynamic is dependency creation. Small favors create obligation. Obligation creates guilt. Guilt creates compliance. Favors are not free when tracked. Healthy giving has no ledger. Manipulative giving does. When favors are mentioned later, control is present. True generosity does not remind. Awareness allows you to receive without indebtedness. Gratitude does not require submission. Time is another form of leverage. When people control your time, they influence your priorities. When you are always available, you are predictable. Predictability is weakness. Scarcity increases value. This does not mean becoming unavailable intentionally. It means valuing your time, protecting it, choosing intentionally. Your time reflects self-respect. Self-respect limits access. Another deep truth is this: manipulation cannot survive clarity. Once patterns are seen, influence weakens naturally. This is why awareness is emphasized repeatedly. Knowledge alone is not power. Applied awareness is, but application does not mean aggression. It means presence. Be present in conversations. Be present in decisions. Be present in emotions. Presence prevents autopilot. Autopilot is where control hides. As this audiobook continues, your mind may feel both calmer and more alert. This is the ideal state. Calm alertness, relaxed awareness. From this state, you do not rush. You do not fear silence. You do not chase approval. You choose deliberately, and deliberate choice is freedom. The more freedom you experience internally, the less external influence matters. This is the paradox. The less you need control, the more control you have. As we move forward, you will notice deeper layers. Influence that is not obvious. Patterns that operate quietly beneath words. Structures that shape behavior subtly. Stay relaxed, stay open, stay aware. Nothing here requires force. Awareness does the work. As your awareness deepens, you begin to notice the invisible threads that guide human interaction. Every conversation, glance, and gesture carries information. Some of it is harmless. Some of it is designed to influence you. Most people never see the difference because they move through life distracted, reacting automatically, and trusting appearances. Manipulation thrives in distraction. Awareness thrives in attention. The moment you slow down, you reclaim control. Subtlety is the hallmark of advanced influence. It is rarely loud, rarely obvious. Instead, it uses small shifts, a tone of voice, a hesitation, a well-timed pause. These micro-patterns are not coincidences. They are learned behaviors designed to create compliance without overt force. Once you notice these patterns, you realize that human behavior is predictable, but not inevitable. You can respond differently. You can choose calm over agitation, clarity over confusion, observation over reaction. Another key layer of influence is framing. How information is presented alters perception. Words like must, only, or quickly create urgency. Labels like good, bad, or wrong create alignment or guilt. The mind reacts faster than reason. By noticing the frame, you can pause and decide intentionally. People often confuse kindness with weakness, but boundaries are kindness to yourself and others. When you respect yourself, you communicate value. When you communicate value, others cannot manipulate you easily. Manipulation also preys on familiarity. Familiar patterns feel safe, even when they are harmful. People repeat behaviors that worked on you before, assuming they will work again. Awareness breaks the cycle. Recognition interrupts automatic compliance. Observation is a silent superpower. Watch not only what people say, but how they say it. Look at tone, rhythm, posture, and timing. All of these carry intention. The more you notice, the less you are surprised. The less you are surprised, the less you are controlled. Emotions are a currency of influence. Fear, guilt, shame, urgency, desire, all these can be leveraged. None are inherently dangerous. The danger lies in being unaware. A calm mind converts these currencies into neutral data. The reaction you withhold is power you gain. Consider social media. Every post, comment, and notification is designed to trigger attention, emotion, and engagement. You are being influenced constantly. Awareness does not mean avoiding it. It means choosing your engagement consciously. Pause before reacting. Question before sharing. Decide before liking. Even compliments can carry influence. When someone praises excessively, it may subtly suggest obligation. When someone criticizes under the guise of concern, it may create doubt. Awareness allows you to receive feedback neutrally, without emotional debt. Another layer is reciprocity. Humans feel compelled to return favors. Manipulators exploit this. They give small benefits, then request larger compliance. Recognize the pattern. Accept help freely, but act according to your choice, not obligation. Time is influence. When someone pressures your schedule, they shape priorities. When someone demands immediate responses, they reduce deliberation. Protecting your time protects your autonomy. Freedom is impossible without boundaries around time. Mirroring is another tactic. Subtly imitating your gestures, tone, or language creates rapport. It feels natural, but it can manipulate trust. Awareness allows you to notice mirroring without feeling compelled to reciprocate automatically. Trust emerges from patterns, not mimicry. Manipulation often escalates gradually. Small concessions lead to bigger ones. Little emotional triggers accumulate until you feel trapped. Awareness interrupts this escalation. Every yes you give intentionally preserves control. Every no you give respectfully establishes boundaries. Observe how others react to your boundaries. Respect under resistance reveals character. Compliance under pressure reveals intent. The world does not always reward truth, but it always responds to clarity. Internal confidence shields against manipulation. When your sense of self is stable, external validation loses importance. When external validation loses importance, influence fades. This is why self-mastery is more protective than knowledge alone. Intuition is a tool often overlooked. Your body reacts to subtle cues before your conscious mind recognizes them. Tightness in the chest, hesitation in movement, a momentary unease. These are alerts. Pause and consider. Your body often sees patterns before your mind labels them. Another technique manipulators use is creating false urgency. Decide now or miss out exploits fear of loss. Deliberate pausing neutralizes urgency. Reflection restores power. Freedom exists in the space between stimulus and reaction. Conflict is often a tool of manipulation. Some provoke arguments to gain engagement or reaction. The reaction fuels control. By observing rather than reacting, you retain power. Choosing when and how to respond is more effective than arguing. Dependence is another subtle lever. Encouraging reliance on your resources, approval, or time creates soft control. Awareness restores independence. You can accept help without becoming beholden. You can participate without attachment. Environment shapes influence. Toxic spaces normalize dysfunction. Positive spaces reinforce clarity. Protecting your environment protects your psychology. Observe where you spend energy and time. It determines susceptibility. Normalization is powerful. Repeated exposure to behavior, language, or expectations shapes belief. Question what you repeatedly see and hear. Decide what aligns with your values. Refuse passive acceptance of harmful patterns. The strongest minds pause, observe, notice, reflect. Reaction diminishes strength. Stillness enhances it. Autonomy is maintained not through action alone, but through deliberate inaction when appropriate. Every decision, pause, or silence is a reclaiming of control. Every emotional restraint is a shield. Every observation is armor. Awareness is not just knowledge, it is practice. Applied awareness is defense. As the mind quiets, you will find clarity emerging. Confusion dissipates. Patterns become visible. The unseen threads of influence reveal themselves. You see motives, intentions, and strategies that once slipped by unnoticed. This clarity is not arrogance. It is neutrality. Neutrality allows you to act decisively when action is needed without being manipulated. Neutrality allows you to maintain integrity without overreaction or surrender. The journey through dark psychology is not about learning how to harm. It is about awakening to reality, about understanding influence, emotion, and behavior, about building a mind that cannot be manipulated because it observes, pauses, and chooses freely. As your awareness strengthens, you start noticing patterns not just in others, but within yourself. Every reaction, impulse, and emotion reveals a story. Some of these patterns serve you, some undermine your autonomy. Understanding yourself is as crucial as understanding others. The mind that knows itself cannot be easily manipulated. Reflection becomes your strongest ally. Take a moment to observe why you feel certain urges, why you respond with impatience or guilt, why fear or desire arises so quickly. These are clues. They are the fingerprints of influence that have shaped your life, often without your knowledge. By recognizing them, you begin reclaiming choice. People often underestimate repetition. Repetition is a subtle form of conditioning. Words, phrases, and ideas repeated frequently gain trust. They feel familiar. They feel true. Advertising, media, and social environments rely on this principle. By noticing repeated messages, you can examine their purpose and question whether they serve you or others. Awareness interrupts automatic acceptance. Another layer is social proof. Humans are herd creatures. We look to others to determine what is acceptable, desirable, or safe. This instinct is natural, but manipulators exploit it. When you notice yourself aligning with the group simply because everyone else does, pause. Evaluate independently. Your autonomy is your safeguard. Manipulation often operates through emotional imbalance. Emotional highs create compliance. Emotional lows create dependence. The extreme joy, praise, or flattery draws you in. The guilt, shame, or urgency pulls you back. Awareness stabilizes your emotional landscape. A balanced mind cannot be swayed easily. Trust is selective. It is not an automatic state. Observe who earns it consistently. Observe who seeks to exploit it. Manipulation thrives when trust is given without observation. Awareness allows you to extend trust carefully, without blind submission. Boundaries are not just physical, they are psychological, emotional, and temporal. When someone crosses these boundaries repeatedly, it is not always intentional malice. Often, it is unconscious testing. Awareness allows you to reinforce boundaries calmly and consistently. Every reinforced boundary is a reclaiming of power. Another common tactic is distraction. Busy the mind, busy the attention, busy the senses, and control becomes easy. Chaos, noise, overstimulation all make observation difficult. Silence, order, and focus restore perception. The calmer your environment, the sharper your awareness. Manipulation thrives on assumption. We assume intentions are good. We assume context is normal. We assume others act as we would. Awareness encourages questioning without cynicism. Clarify, verify, observe patterns. Assumptions are the playground of influence. Questioning is the shield. You may notice people testing limits subtly, small infractions, microaggressions, or shifts in tone. These are not always personal attacks. They are probes. Awareness allows you to detect probing and decide how to respond, or whether to respond at all. Silence is again a profound tool. When you respond less, people over-explain. When you observe more, people reveal intentions without knowing. Power often lies in withholding reaction, in restraining commentary, in allowing patterns to emerge organically. Another technique manipulators use is creating dependency. It may start with small favors or emotional support. Over time, this fosters obligation, guilt, and expectation. Awareness allows you to accept help without surrendering autonomy. Gratitude does not require submission. Freedom is not selfish. It is essential. Time, once more, is a weapon. Urgency and rushed decisions weaken thoughtfulness. Slow down, delay response. Give yourself space. Reflection is power. Freedom resides in the pause between stimulus and reaction. People often mirror your emotions unconsciously, yet manipulative mirroring is deliberate. It fosters false rapport and accelerates influence. Awareness allows recognition without compulsion. Observe, do not automatically reciprocate. Trust consistency over immediate chemistry. Even compliments and encouragement can be vehicles for subtle control. Praise creates expectation, dependency, and obligation when given strategically. Awareness allows enjoyment without enslavement. You can receive positivity without surrendering choice. Emotional blackmail is another tool often unnoticed. Statements like, "If you cared, you would," exploit empathy and guilt. Awareness reveals these patterns. Respond without guilt. Your empathy is a gift, not a leash. Emotional intelligence is your defense. Internal confidence becomes increasingly vital. When your identity is stable and your values clear, influence weakens. You no longer seek validation externally. External pressure becomes less effective. Strength resides in alignment, not in reaction. Every pattern you observe, every pause you take, every boundary you reinforce is a step toward sovereignty. Manipulation is powerless against a mind that observes, reflects, and chooses deliberately. Awareness is not passive, it is active control. As you continue this journey, you may notice discomfort. Some people resist your calm presence. Some attempt to provoke reaction. Some subtly pressure you. This is natural. Awareness disrupts control, and disruption often meets resistance. Respond calmly. Maintain stillness. Let others reveal themselves through their own behavior. Another subtle layer is language. Certain words create urgency, obligation, or guilt. Certain phrases imply limitation or expectation. By noticing language patterns, you regain control over interpretation. Meaning resides not only in words, but in delivery and intent. Awareness decodes both. Observation of environment, people, and timing amplifies power. Control is often exerted through context, a crowded room, a meeting, social pressure. Awareness allows you to act with discretion, pause when necessary, and choose when to engage. The calm mind navigates influence effectively. Every small practice, pausing, observing, reflecting, reinforcing boundaries, and maintaining calm, compounds. These practices are invisible to others but transformative to you. Autonomy grows, influence diminishes. Power returns to its rightful place, your mind. As your awareness deepens, you begin to notice how often people react based on assumption, habit, or social expectation rather than true choice. Reactions are predictable. When you see the triggers, you regain freedom. Awareness allows deliberate response instead of automatic reaction. One of the most subtle forms of influence is gaslighting. Gaslighting is not always malicious. Sometimes it is habitual, learned, or unconscious. The purpose is to create doubt, confusion, and dependency. Statements that make you question your memory, your judgment, or your perception are often gaslighting tools. Awareness is the antidote. Trust patterns, not words. Reality is consistent. People may test your reactions repeatedly. They may provoke, tease, or push boundaries subtly to gauge control. Each reaction you withhold is a reclaiming of power. Silence becomes strategy. Calmness becomes armor. Observing without reacting shifts the balance. Another layer of influence is expectation. When others expect a certain reaction, behavior, or response from you, they create subtle pressure. Awareness allows you to notice expectation, examine it, and act according to your own values. Independence is regained when you no longer feel obligated to fulfill unspoken expectations. Emotional triggers are everywhere: fear, guilt, shame, urgency, excitement. Manipulators rely on emotion to override reason. Calm observation neutralizes these triggers. Pausing before reacting is your shield. Clarity emerges when emotions are observed, not consumed. Patterns repeat. Those who influence you once often attempt again. Awareness interrupts repetition. Observation allows you to anticipate behavior. Anticipation creates power. Unawareness creates submission. Dependency is a quiet form of control, emotional, financial, social. When reliance is established, compliance follows. Awareness allows acceptance without submission. Gratitude without guilt maintains freedom. Freedom is the natural consequence of discernment. Another subtle tactic is distraction. Attention is diverted with noise, drama, or overstimulation. A distracted mind reacts automatically. A focused mind observes, assesses, and chooses. Silence and stillness restore control. The calmer the environment, the sharper the mind. Manipulators often exploit social instincts, herd behavior, fear of missing out, desire for approval. These instincts are natural but vulnerable. Awareness allows you to evaluate decisions independently. You choose alignment, not conformity. Your values guide you, not social pressure. Even kindness can be a tool of influence. Excessive praise, favors, or support can create expectation, dependency, and obligation. Awareness allows acceptance without emotional debt. You can receive, respond, or decline freely. Autonomy is preserved. Time itself is leveraged. Urgency, rushing, and deadlines influence choice. Pausing restores autonomy. Reflection neutralizes urgency. Freedom is found in the space between stimulus and response. Internal confidence grows stronger as awareness develops. When your identity is stable and your values clear, external pressure loses efficacy. Reaction diminishes. Deliberate choice dominates. Power resides in alignment, not in outward display. Observation remains your most potent tool. People reveal intention through micro-expressions, tone, rhythm, and timing. Words are easy to mask. Patterns are consistent. Awareness decodes these patterns. Understanding them allows calm and deliberate response. Boundaries are reinforced continually. Physical, emotional, and temporal boundaries maintain autonomy. Each reinforcement signals value and self-respect. Manipulation loses traction when boundaries are respected consistently. Emotional intelligence is central. Recognizing your own responses, observing others' triggers, and maintaining calm transforms awareness into power. Emotional discipline is the foundation of sovereignty over self. Another layer is language. Certain words, phrases, and tones are designed to create compliance or guilt. Awareness allows decoding of language intent. Understanding language patterns restores control. Your environment is a reflection of influence. Toxic spaces normalize dysfunction. Observing your surroundings and choosing where to invest time and energy protects psychology. Healthy environments support clarity and reduce manipulation. Normalization of behavior is subtle but effective. Repeated exposure to harmful patterns creates acceptance. Awareness allows conscious evaluation. Decide what is acceptable. Refuse passive participation. Maintain standards aligned with values. Every pause, every observation, every reinforced boundary compounds. Your autonomy grows silently but inexorably. Influence diminishes. Freedom returns to your mind. Applied awareness, more than knowledge, creates invulnerability. As you move forward, your calm presence may provoke subtle resistance in others. Some may attempt to manipulate, pressure, or provoke. This is natural. Your awareness is disrupting their influence. Respond calmly. Maintain neutrality. Observe. Let others reveal themselves. The more you practice observation, stillness, and deliberate response, the more patterns become visible. Influence loses subtlety. Manipulation becomes transparent. Clarity emerges naturally. True power lies not in controlling others, but in mastering self. Sovereignty over your thoughts, emotions, and reactions is ultimate freedom. Awareness is the vehicle, calmness is the armor, and deliberate choice is the destination. As your awareness deepens, you begin to notice the subtle ways in which influence seeps into daily life. It is rarely dramatic. Most influence is quiet, almost invisible. A glance, a pause, a carefully chosen word. These can shift decisions without you even realizing it. Awareness brings these subtle forces into the light. One of the most overlooked aspects of influence is reciprocity. People feel compelled to return favors, kindness, or attention. Manipulators exploit this natural tendency, creating obligations that serve their interests. Awareness allows you to accept help or kindness without feeling compelled to surrender autonomy. Gratitude does not equal obligation. Freedom exists in this distinction. Observation is key. Notice patterns in behavior over time rather than focusing on single events. Patterns reveal intent, values, and consistency. Words alone can be misleading, but repeated actions rarely lie. The more you notice, the less you are surprised. The less surprised you are, the less control anyone has over you. Manipulators also exploit emotion. Emotional highs and lows, urgency and guilt are tools used to bypass rational thinking. Calm observation neutralizes these effects. Pausing before reacting creates a space where choice resides. Freedom is found in that space. Internal confidence becomes increasingly important. A stable sense of self shields against influence. When your identity is grounded in personal values rather than external validation, manipulation loses its power. External pressure may create discomfort, but it cannot compel compliance. Strength is internal. Boundaries are not just defensive, they are empowering. They communicate value, protect energy, and maintain clarity. Each boundary you assert reinforces autonomy. When someone attempts to bypass your boundaries, it is a test. Observing responses, maintaining calm, and reinforcing limits neutralizes manipulation. Time is also a subtle form of control. Urgency, deadlines, and pressure exploit automatic reactions. By valuing your time, pausing before decisions, and reflecting before acting, you regain control. Deliberation is freedom. Reflection is power. Mirroring is another quiet tactic. When someone imitates your gestures, tone, or behavior, it can create a sense of connection. Awareness allows recognition without automatic reciprocation. Trust is built through consistency, not instant mimicry. Even compliments and encouragement can subtly influence. Excessive praise may imply expectation. Excessive concern may imply obligation. Awareness allows you to accept positivity without emotional debt, preserving autonomy and clarity. Environmental influence is constant. The spaces you inhabit, the people you spend time with, and the media you consume all shape thought patterns. Awareness allows selective engagement. You can choose environments that support clarity and reduce susceptibility to manipulation. Normalization is powerful. Repeated exposure to behaviors, language, or social norms can subtly shift perception. Awareness allows conscious evaluation. Decide what aligns with your values. Reject what does not. Protect your psychological landscape. Observation, reflection, and calm become your tools. Each practice compounds. Awareness grows, influence diminishes, and freedom expands. Applied awareness is not passive. It actively creates invulnerability to manipulation. Emotional discipline transforms internal chaos into clarity. When you recognize triggers, pause before reaction, and maintain calm, you neutralize influence. Strong minds do not react automatically. They respond deliberately. Deliberate response is power. Silence again proves invaluable. By speaking less and observing more, you gather information, reveal less, and maintain unpredictability. The quiet mind is difficult to influence. The calm presence exerts subtle dominance. Dependency is a frequent tool of control. Small favors, attention, or emotional support may be leveraged to create obligation. Awareness allows acceptance without submission. Gratitude can coexist with autonomy. Freedom thrives when you recognize the balance. Even language carries subtle influence. Words can create urgency, guilt, or expectation. Awareness allows you to decode intent, observe patterns, and maintain clarity. Meaning lies not only in what is said, but how and why it is said. Autonomy grows as awareness is applied. Every pause, every observation, every reinforced boundary strengthens sovereignty. Manipulation becomes transparent. Influence diminishes naturally. The mind that observes, reflects, and chooses deliberately is free. Presence is power. Calm alertness disrupts automatic influence. The more you practice presence, the less susceptible you are to unseen forces. Awareness, calmness, and deliberate choice converge into strength that cannot be easily challenged. The journey through dark psychology is not about harming others. It is about awakening to reality, understanding patterns, and reclaiming autonomy. Sovereignty over your mind is the ultimate freedom. Awareness and self-control are inseparable allies. As you continue, you may notice how often your attention is pulled in multiple directions simultaneously. Distraction is a subtle weapon. It keeps you reactive, scattered, and unaware. A focused mind is a protected mind. The more you observe without rushing, the more clarity you gain. Manipulation often exploits familiarity. People repeat behaviors that once influenced you successfully, expecting the same response. Awareness interrupts this cycle. By noticing patterns and breaking habitual reactions, you reclaim control over your decisions. Emotional triggers remain central. Fear, guilt, urgency, and shame are repeatedly used to provoke immediate reactions. The calm mind observes without succumbing. Pausing is a form of resistance. Reflection is freedom. Dependency is quiet but powerful. Small favors, attention, or praise can create a sense of obligation. Awareness allows you to accept generosity without surrendering autonomy. Gratitude does not equate to control. Sovereignty resides in the ability to choose freely. Internal confidence grows as you strengthen awareness. When you no longer rely on external validation, influence diminishes. External pressure may cause discomfort, but it cannot compel compliance. The alignment of values and actions is protective. Strength is internal, silent, and resilient. Boundaries protect the mind and emotions. Every assertion of a limit communicates self-respect and reduces susceptibility to manipulation. Observing others' reactions to boundaries reveals intent. Respect under resistance demonstrates integrity. Pressure under boundary assertion reveals influence attempts. Awareness allows consistent enforcement without aggression. Time is influence. Urgency and pressure force automatic reactions. By valuing your time, pausing decisions, and reflecting, you regain control. Reflection neutralizes urgency. Freedom resides in the interval between stimulus and response. Subtle mirroring occurs frequently. Imitating gestures, tone, or behavior fosters perceived connection. Awareness allows recognition without automatic reciprocation. Trust develops through consistent action over time, not instantaneous alignment. Even compliments and encouragement may influence subtly. Excessive praise or concern may imply expectation or obligation. Awareness enables reception without compulsion, maintaining autonomy and clarity. Your environment shapes thought patterns. People, spaces, and media can subtly influence decisions. Awareness allows selective engagement. Choose environments that cultivate clarity and reduce susceptibility. Protect your psychological landscape. Normalization is a quiet force. Repetition of behaviors, phrases, or social norms gradually shifts perception. Awareness enables conscious evaluation. Decide what aligns with your values. Reject what does not. Protect your mind. Observation, reflection, and calm compound over time. Each pause, each boundary, each deliberate choice reinforces autonomy. Awareness grows. Influence diminishes. Freedom expands. Applied awareness actively creates invulnerability to manipulation. Emotional discipline converts internal chaos into clarity. Recognizing triggers, pausing before reaction, and maintaining calm neutralizes influence. Strong minds do not react automatically. They respond deliberately. Deliberate response is power. Silence is strength. Speaking less and observing more reveals patterns, limits exposure, and maintains unpredictability. Calm presence subtly asserts influence without aggression. Dependency can be exploited through favors or attention. Awareness allows acceptance without submission. Gratitude can coexist with autonomy. Freedom exists when the balance is recognized. Language itself carries influence. Words may convey urgency, guilt, or expectation. Awareness decodes intent, observes patterns, and maintains clarity. Understanding lies not only in words, but in delivery, context, and intention. Autonomy strengthens as awareness is applied. Every observation, every pause, every reinforced boundary strengthens sovereignty. Manipulation becomes transparent. Influence diminishes naturally. The mind that observes, reflects, and chooses deliberately is free. Presence is power. Calm alertness disrupts automatic influence. The more you practice presence, the less susceptible you are to unseen forces. Awareness, calmness, and deliberate choice converge into strength that cannot be easily challenged. The study of dark psychology is not about harming others. It is about awakening to reality, understanding patterns, and reclaiming autonomy. Sovereignty over your mind is ultimate freedom. Awareness and self-control are inseparable allies. Take a moment now, breathe deeply, feel your presence. Let these words settle. Let them guide you toward calm, deliberate, and empowered living. This audiobook was created to give you tools to understand, protect, and empower yourself. Every principle shared here is for educational and self-development purposes only. It is not about controlling anyone else. It is about controlling your own mind, emotions, and reactions. As you step into the world with these insights, remember, your mind is your domain. No one can take that away. Your sovereignty, awareness, and self-discipline are the ultimate defense against subtle influence and control. Thank you for listening to Dark Psychology 101, Secrets They Don't Want You to Know. Stay aware, stay disciplined, and continue mastering the most important domain you will ever know, your own mind.